The Bills and the Panthers. The Buffalo Bills got back to their winning ways, and the Carolina Panthers were not able to defend home field like they had been in the past this season. 40-9 was the final score of this game. I thought this game was going to be a lot closer than this. I thought the Bills were going to win this game, but man, this game got away from them very quickly. We'll get to that in a second. Buffalo's top 5 graded players, running back James Cook, who Buffalo's run game is pretty much going to dominate the conversation here. 92.6 overall grade. Center Connor McGovern with a 90.5. Wide receiver Khalil Shakir with an 88.4. Offensive tackle Spencer Brown with an 83.7. Edge rusher AJ Epinesa with an 80.2. And then Josh Allen, 69.8. And I think some people are going to look at that and be like, well, how are you going to say that Josh Allen had a bad game? One, this is a good reminder to tell people that our grading system is not like a school grading system. An average grade is not a 75.0. So we are not saying that Josh Allen played below average. In fact, a neutral or an average grade starts at 60.0. So a 69.8 means that Josh Allen had a fine day. He just wasn't asked to do a lot. And we'll get to more of that in a second. On Carolina's side of things, their number 1 graded player was wide receiver Tetron McMillan with an 85.9. Offensive guard Damian Lewis right behind him with an 83.3. Offensive tackle Ike Ekwonu with an 81.1. Center Austin Corbett a 76.1. Wide receiver Jalen Coker back in the lineup with a 71.1. Andy Dalton in this game a 42.6. Dalton Statham told the story to get us kicked off here because I agree with you that this is the entire stat that told the story.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, in any Panthers game you watch, and it sounds obvious, especially one of them, but in any Panthers game you watch, there's going to be 2 X factors, especially this season. 1, quarterback play. They didn't have Bryce Young, and you're going to talk about the Andy Dalton side of it. 2 is their run defense. The games where they've played solid in run defense, they've won, and the ones where they haven't, they didn't. The Bills, 4.9 yards before contact per carry. 4.9 yards per carry alone would be a pretty good day. This is 4.9 yards before contact per carry, before anybody was even touched. That's the highest mark of any team in any game this season. And The fun part is we had so many great rushing performances this season. The top three highest averages in that category in a single game this year all came this week with Buffalo and Denver and Philadelphia. Run defenses were put on notice this week with the way some of these teams ran the ball, and nobody did it better than the Bills. 170 total yards before contact in this game. The Bills' offensive line was dominating. James Cook obviously slicing through the defense. He's got to be my most impressive. I mean, really, he was just the best player on the field. 91.7 rushing grade, 216 yards. I think I saw it was the most rushing yards by a Bills player in almost 50 years. I think O.J. Simpson was the last player with more than that. 7 missed tackles for 7 explosive runs. I mean, and I think about it schematically, not only getting the yards before contact, but how they went about it. Working around Derek Brown, who in this game at least so often lined up on the weak side of these formations. And what happens there is the Bills are just going to go, okay, we've got multiple tight ends. We're going to stack the strong side, and that's the way we're going to run it. We're just going to do everything we can to run away from number 95 because he's the biggest threat to us here on the ground. They did that. They basically, Joe Brady did a great job of keeping him away from the football. And even if they went to the strong side or they shifted over and Brown was on that strong side, they went way outside of him. They basically just stayed out of number 95's range the entire day. Absolutely smart. I mean, he's the biggest difference maker maybe on that entire team. You stay away from number 95, you get blocks up on the second level, especially on the strong side with Brown on the backside so often, and now you've got big plays in the run game for James Cook. That's really the big thing. I would expect that to be a blueprint for teams in the future of, okay, if they're going to line Derek Brown up so much up on the weak side all the time, well, let's just overload one way and see if he stays there, and we're just going to stay away from him. I think that's got to be the biggest factor when you're playing against the Panthers, but the Bills did a great job with it. Joe Brady with a great game plan. Josh Allen, I would place squarely in the good enough category in this game.
He's fine.
Look, when your back runs for 216 yards.
He didn't have to do anything.
He didn't have to do anything, right. I mean, Khalil Shakir made some nice plays too, but, I mean, this game really was, to me, about Joe Brady creating those opportunities for James Cook and working away from Derek Brown.
Yeah, and you mentioned 4.9 yards before contact average that this team had as a whole. If you just look at James Cook, and James Cook was good in this game. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but if you just look at James Cook in this game, 8.9 yards before contact average for James Cook. 163 total yards before contact. You are never beating a team.
Nope.
If that's going to be the case. I mean, you are damn near giving them a first down before contact every single time that he touches the ball. You're never going to beat a team like that, and that's how we get to score like 40-9. And I'll tell you how else we get there. Andy Dalton, 4 turnover-worthy plays in this game. He took 7 sacks, 3 were on him, one that cost them 3 points at the end of that first half there. And I think my big takeaway, watching Andy Dalton live and then watching it back, watching the All-22 back, it just looks like he hasn't played in a while. Like he just looks like he has not played competitive football in a while. And I know he has in and out of the lineup for Bryce Young over the last couple of years. And so that's why I think this result in this game was sort of as shocking of how low the floor was for Andy Dalton. But it didn't feel like he was making decisions well or even quickly enough. The arm strength looks like it's kind of going for him at this point. And so I think all of those things just came together where he was not navigating the pocket well. He wasn't handling pressure well. He didn't have the arm strength to really get him out of trouble. He was late on certain throws. And I just don't think that he was seeing things correctly either. Whatever the Bills were doing, whether it was in their front or in their secondary, it was creating those moments of hesitation for him. And that's how you get those turnover-worthy plays. So not all of them were throws. A couple of them were fumbles. But it was a situation where you were never going to win that game, 1, defending the run, how Carolina defended the run, and then 2, with the quarterback playing like that. They just were not going to win this football game. And I think the fact that they scored single-digit points and the fact that they gave up 40, that's pretty obvious right there. My most impressive, obviously, the Bills run game that we talked about there. And then Josh Nijman for the Carolina Panthers. I feel like the Panthers have been pretty good on the offensive line, even when their backups have had to play this season. But Nijman comes in the second half, 22.7 pass blocking grade, 2 sacks allowed, 5 pressures on just 14 pass blocking reps in the second half. He had 14 total pass blocking reps, and he's given up pressures on 5 of them. 2 sacks. It was just and he was not able to. Michael Hoyt specifically was just getting after him in this game, and a lot of it was just bull rush stuff. A lot of it was just power. We talked to Teron Armstead on the Wednesday show when we do previews, and Teron's done a really good job of highlighting the fact that we all love to talk about pass rushers and all the moves that they can do, right? You know, cross chop, a nice little spin move, a dip and rip, like whatever it is. We love pass rush moves. But at the end of the day, the first thing you have to defend is a bull rush. The first thing that you have to defend is power. Because if a defensive lineman goes straight at you, gets his hands up inside, has leverage, good leg drive, and can push you back into the quarterback's lap, guess what they're going to do the next play? That. And if you can't stop at that play, guess what they're going to do the next play? That. And that to me felt exactly like what Josh Nijman's day was. Michael Hoyt was just bull rushing him, speed to power, the whole time he was out there, and he couldn't handle it. And so he was the most disappointing for me.
That's where the Bills want to get to, is those obvious passing situations, because their run defense has struggled this year. 7 different defensive linemen with multiple pressures in this game. And obviously the Panthers are behind and then start throwing every play that might happen, in part because of the situation. But no, certainly those are the 2 factors, I think, for the Panthers. It comes down to, I think, every week, quarterback play and run defense. Both of those things have been up and down this year, hence the Panthers, 4-4 record. So you're talking about a team that's trying to figure out how to work around some of their weaknesses, especially in run defense. Couldn't do that on this day. The Bills came out with a great game plan and physically dominated them.
Anything else here?
Nope.
All right, moving on.